Hi, this is Jim Stark.
And Terry Babicz.
And this is
Desert Detonation.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. With us today is Mr. Bryon Mogul. Bryon, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I'm doing great.
Well, thanks for being here, Bryon. Everyone's curious, like, what planet you come from and all that stuff, because we're convinced you're an alien. But just tell us, how did you get started in music?
I was a clarinet player in high school. I went on to join the Marine Corps, and I played clarinet in the Marine Corps band. And while in the Marine Corps, I got turned on to heavy metal. I think it was Deep Purple back then.
Nice.
And Richie Blackmore I was a big fan of his. He played what I could mimic on the clarinet. I always played other instruments too, but mainly clarinet. And then I had a weird idea I was going to do, like that kind of music on clarinet. And actually, we did a little bit.
That's cool.
Nice.
It didn't happen for very long. I was out of there in 4 years.
Who are some of your major influences growing up?
On guitar, I think of myself as a composer too, and there's influences there. But I would say on guitar, Julie John Roth, Michael Schenker, for sure those two. Jimmy Page, I wouldn't think he's the musicianship of those other two, but he certainly has more to say on his guitar than anybody else. He's just so perfectly phrasing, the emotion that comes out of his melodies. I said Jeff Beck, and there's probably half a dozen others there.
Oh, it's amazing. You say you're a composer. I'm sorry. You say you're a composer. Who are some of your influences there? Because your music is just really amazing. You have some really awesome stuff in there. You have a wide variety of stuff.
Well, I was afraid you were going to ask this because the answer's not as cool as the other one, right? Like Rodgers and Hammerstein, stuff like this. Because I was in the band, I had to learn things for formal events for the Marines and stuff. So we would learn musical numbers and stuff like this. But what stuck with me was the counter melodies that were going on. You just have some kind of a melody that was good. And then that whole era I was growing up with, like TV shows, they had counter melodies to their, Hogan's Heroes had a melody, and this trombone would have something counter to it, both in rhythm and melody. It was like two guys playing together and ending at the same time, without sounding as sloppy as the Dead, for instance. But because they did that too, they managed to end and start exactly right, and nobody knows what happened in between.
Terry, he's on the guitar roll here, and you were the guitar man.
Yeah.
I got some questions for him when it comes to that. What do you have?
So, Bryon, what kind of gear do you prefer? What are you playing these days?
Oh, I prefer what I have for once. I'm playing through a Black Star. It's a HD. It's a 212 60 watt.
Okay.
And it's just like the little. It was so. I didn't even know they existed.
Yeah, it's good
but
stuff.
the 212 saved it. I would have otherwise had to get a quarter, half stack.
Okay.
But that's exactly what I wanted because I know the guitar players I try to emulate, and that the sweet sound of the Black Star is what Yuli uses.
Yeah.
I've taken clinics with him. I just love the Black Star sound.
Cool. How about guitars? What guitars are you playing?
I have a 83 Les Paul. I have
Nice.
Strat. I'm not much of a bolt-on guitar guy, and all
Okay.
my favorite guitarists are bolt-on necks, except Page. I mean, really, Blackmore and all of them, Ed Van Halen, all those guys.
Yeah.
But I can't play. I don't know why. I just it's just crowded for me. So I like a little bigger neck. The Washburn neck through is late 80s, possibly 90. We don't know because the serial numbers are. But anyway, I got it used. It's a rock. It's a rock. I mean,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, right.
No
Yeah.
file dog. We're gonna be able to see some of your stuff in a little bit here, so everyone gets to see what you play. Before we do get into that a little bit later here, tell us your songwriting is really cool. It's very deep and emotional, and it tells stories. That's obviously comes from your composer part that that you like to compose, and you've got all these other influences from heavy metal, rock, and all that stuff. When we watch you on stage and we listen to your music, you do take us into like another world.
Wow.
So I that's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
He's got
yeah.
a whole thing, and now I understand you're gonna put videos to your live
I
show
already
pretty
have
soon.
the videos. I'm actually waiting for a delivery of a lamp bulb.
Oh, there you go.
Because it's
needs it.
an industrial
Help
size
us out.
projector, but it's discontinued, so I had to order the bulbs from a faraway place, and I should have them this week. But
Okay, that'll be cool.
so yeah, my songs usually are named after scary movies that I liked during the 60s and 70s, or from that area, and during that era. But the idea was that I would have like clips of either those scary movies, if I could get the licensing, or my own. I've been doing my own, really, just like little fragments of stupid videos that seem to work really well. I mean, I get a lot of views on social media, on the thousands of views.
Oh, yeah.
You need to get together with this guy and produce just
Oh,
an
yeah,
amazing
can you imagine if it
video.
was,
It's
like,
amazing.
properly- well-
This guy's all full of talent. Yeah, he is. He's awesome.
Yeah, when
So is he.
when it gets to the point where I don't have to stress about selling tickets to Club Red, I want to put a lot of money into doing the video part. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I would do that because there's no point in doing anything, especially in this music scene. It's not fiercely competitive. It's just it takes an awful lot to wake up an audience, to get them, and to get them so excited they come and wait for you. I mean, if you're doing that, you're doing way ahead of where the rest of the world is. Used to be anybody who played was a target for the record companies when there were more of a need than there were musicians, and that just turned around in the 80s. 94,000, or was it 94,000 Squires sold last year by Fender. That's a lot. I mean, in America, and if you got 100,000 of just that, yeah, everybody's playing guitar, so you got to stick out really a lot. You have to write weird stuff, or you have to be extraordinary. I mean, all the guitarists I know have something that's going for them. You have a unique way of playing, Terry. And Riley Micus is fast. Conrad is crying with his guitar. I mean, everybody's got this, and I'm kind of like manic. And well,
He's
like
an alien. I'm telling you, he's an
order
alien.
within chaos. I'd hope to say like synchronicity of some sort, but it's still like because that's the way I am.
Do you have? You're always hinting to me that this is coming up, but I know there's an album coming up here. I know it's got to be close to being finished.
I think that
I'm gonna tease this right out of him.
I think that it is finished. Actually, I have all the songs I want to do on it. I have all if I had just the right guys and they knew how to play and they wanted to play, and at the exclusion of everything else, I would have 8 songs that. I have the names for them all. I have them start to finish, and I have tracks that reflect close to what it is. But I'm doing the tracks myself, so I can't come up with a bass line the way that somebody who is raised on bass does. I mean, I wouldn't try to write lyrics for something. Maybe lyrics, but certainly not sing. Because that's not my thing. But if I get people to do it, yeah. So anyway, I'm just doing myself with some great friends.
So Bryon, tell me, you really go into a trance when you're up there, man. You just go away when you're.
If I'm lucky, yeah.
Yeah, well, so far
if I'm not worried about
you've been,
like the band playing properly or something like that, I don't want to sound like a jerk or anything. But I have band members that move on and come that are new, and they're not always going to be, they haven't been doing these songs for 30 years or doing the riffs that led to them for that long. And it may not be their favorite thing on the earth. I mean, I understand that. So if I don't have to worry about them, if I don't have to worry about anything like that, or worry if it's a show I'm booking and somebody's late, how when you're trying to be a musician and trying to do the business end of it, it's almost mutually exclusive, but it doesn't have to be. You just have to have a really strong demeanor to deal with it and still be not be a jerk. And I've talked to you about that this morning. I was like, sometimes you just get, the business is not as important as the music, really. Almost everybody would say that, I think, in principle. And then, if you're if your record sales are declining because of something, then maybe it'll be different. But still, yeah, I mean, there's musical freedom here, and I get into these trances when I know everything's going well. Like I can hear, in my case now, the backtracks. I have good musicians. I just don't have a whole band that's ready to play at any given time. I mean, and they all have their own stuff too, you know, and they probably think theirs is as good as mine.
Now, you have a lot. I'm sorry, Terry. Do you want to say something? Okay. I was just curious. You do a lot before shows. You promote like crazy, and man, you do some great, awesome posters. By the way,
Well, they're just like tripped out posters.
Oh,
yeah.
He gets manic and he goes crazy.
It's actually
on that,
the number of people they reach that's significant, because I'll take the poster and I'll make it some crazy color so it sticks out. They're not all like this, but there's at least a couple in each event, and I post it in the group. So something like 96,000 people see the poster, and out of that, 960 think about the stuff, and then 96 actually like it or something, and then 9 come, and that's all you can help her.
How do you go? You go through all this crazy preparation and everything, and then you go into a whole different trance on stage. What goes on between there? How are you preparing as you're walking up those
I'm
steps to
shutting
get
off
on?
everybody. Like on Saturday night before I played, I wanted to play really well because there were a lot of eyes there. You were there. I clammed up one time playing in front of Terry, and it was like I couldn't even do something that I was like, I wasn't used to being scoped out by somebody who was, a genius with their instrument.
Well, I feel lucky. I'm sandwiched by two amazing guitar players.
Well, you're
here.
pretty good on the keys too, dude. I thought you were
fiddle
like
around.
the Phantom of the Opera when you. it
My
was-
Nautilus.
Yeah, the Nautilus. Yeah,
So you said,
you have
that's
that
funny.
pipe organ.
Oh, you guys are in a whole different class. This is great, Terry. Did you want to ask me?
Yeah. So, Bryon, you got an album coming out. Are you working on any other collaborations with anybody? Anything coming up in the future besides the album?
Solid. Well, I'm working with a guy named Randy Black, who's a rhythm guitar player, and a really good one.
Yeah.
He's, you know how Rudy Schenker plays rhythm? He's
right.
played like 2 solos out of all the albums they had.
Yeah.
But they were the 2 #1 hits, by the way. It was "Send Me an Angel" and the Wall, that Berlin Wall song.
Yeah.
But yeah, Randy doesn't even want a solo. He just wants to play these chunky things, and he
Nice.
comes up with the most interesting runs that you just love. They're very straight metal, and I think because I write in scales into what he's doing, that turns out to be quite unique. That by the
Awesome.
time it's done, we haven't had a lot of time. He works. I've had these shows that I booked the shows well in advance. And there's no room for my band to debut on them sometimes. That's why I got to do solo shows.
Yeah. Okay.
But I figured we'd come out of Christmas with some kind of a good band that represented the music. And that would be a preview of the album. I don't expect it out until spring. With a lot of luck, it'll be the spring.
All right. Awesome.
How do you go around? Where do your ideas come from with your music? Do you sit there for 8 hours, or is this something that are you more of an inspirational creator?
No. I have songs I'm trying to write right now. I just have to get the ones that I wrote down, because I have to have some. First of all, if I don't get it into a verse-chorus structure or meaningful structure, then some singer's going to come in and just chop it apart, and you're going to get the one part 4 times, and it's going to repeat. And so, scary movies. Aliens, all the crazy a half man, half alien, Dr. Nephalian, used to be my band. He flies around in a spaceship abducting people and subjecting them to all kinds of crazy research. And I don't believe that, by the way. He's really a government employee. But in any case, yeah, that's I just think of sci-fi movies. I'm a big Boris Karloff fan. Anything like that, Frankenstein.
What's your biggest struggle in your songwriting?
Oh, if I could sing, that would be a good thing, I guess. I sing so bad that people will not come see me if I sing. So I have to announce in advance that I'm not good at sing. And that's funny. The minute I did that, I sold more tickets than the bands I was playing with at Club Red. They called me looking for him. It was hilarious. And I made a big deal about this. Is just my good songs. I'm not going to experiment. These are the ones that I've been nurturing people on in the videos and teasing them with little clips. Wow, that was a night, dude. That was probably the best night I ever had since I played with Belladonna. Was that Club Red show.
Nice. That last one was something.
I mean, it was like 3 of the best guitarists in Arizona were right in the front row, man, and they were cheering me on, and they made me raise the bar so well. I mean, I wasn't flawless at all. I'm never flawless, but I think that I came as close as you can. I mean, hopefully we all keep where we've been, right? I mean, that we don't drop back down and have to reach that over and over. But I'd like to think that after you hit that, you know what you're doing. Then you know what you did right. And what I did right is I was totally zoned that day. I mean, I was in a trance about exactly. I'm trying to sing a few beats ahead of the solo, and I don't know if it comes off this way. I'm really a perfectionist, so I think I make a lot of errors, and I count errors where I meant to sing something and it played differently. It might be in key, but it wasn't what I intended. So it's like not calling the shot in pool, right? So but some people let you have the shot. But that's exactly what it was that I was able to do that so well. It was like, let's see, this next phrase it's weird you think. I used to score when I was with the Marines. I for the band. I also composed their like updated songs like Saturday in the Park. The songs that were more commercial that we would do for events that the Marines had for public purposes. I would never got into the branch that played for the president or anything, but it was actually Yuma, San Diego. Yuma's a hot place.
I have one more question for you, unless you have something you want to say, Terry.
No.
Okay. I was going to say, any advice to the upcoming musicians and our new kids on the block,
That is a good question. And the only thing, I'm sure it's cliche. By the way, Conrad said, use a metronome. And I listened to him about a year and a half ago, and it changed everything. I was like, after 35 years of playing, it still modified my playing so much. I would say don't stop playing. You know how Page plays fast leads? They sound a little sloppy. It's almost his signature. I don't think I would like Achilles' Last Stand quite so much if he wasn't delaying himself on getting the notes. I don't know what caused it, but if you hit the metronome on these things, on these fast runs, even non-fast runs, they call on something in human hearing or in our cognition that it's a cadence of some sort that you've taken over that part of the brain of the people listening and yourself. And that's what the trance is especially if you could actually pull off 120 or 140 beats per minute and do triplets at that rate. I started when I got this advice from him at the Face Melter Jam in Halloween before the last one. So it was more like 2 years almost. He said, yeah, you got to use the metronome. That's the whole trick. And then when I did, I could hear the difference everywhere. Everything I had recorded, not everything, but things that I heard before that I was like a guitar player, but something just didn't click with it. You know what I mean? Like he was great, but there was something missing. It was his timing. It was my timing. And that's probably why you haven't heard about me for all those years, is I had great melodies and I was even fast, but I wasn't in time until now. So I hope it's not that simple.
Thanks for being with us, Bryon.
Thank you, man. What an honor.
It's been a pleasure having you here.
Really, what an honor. Dude.
Terry, before I do cut us
man.
out here, was there anything you wanted to sneak in with Bryon really quick here?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the last thing I got is, are you gonna play some kick-ass guitar for us?
Oh yeah, I got it worked out.
Right.
I don't know the songs, but I know that it's gonna be something I really can play.
Awesome. So
I love these
everybody,
guys.
stay tuned. We're gonna be right back with Bryon playing some wicked guitar.
This is Terry Babicz.
This is Terry Babicz, and
This is Jim Stark.
we're on Desert Detonation.
Hi guys, it's me, Jim Stark, and I'd like to invite you to Band Oasis Rehearsal Studios, 1322 West University Drive, Mesa, Arizona. Right on the corner of Alma School and University, right next to Club Red. Practice with the pros. Come on down today, tell them Jim Stark sent you, and get a great special deal. You guys, this place is awesome! Gang, we've got 5 hourly rate studios, plus a bunch of monthly rate studios. All kinds of prices to fit any size band. And check this out, totally affordable rates. And believe me, from one starving artist to another, you know how important that is. Just call 480-966-8742 or just remember 480-96-MUSIC.